We're not in paradise yet, but it's being every weeks, every month passing is being better and better. So I hope it's going to last a long time.
Hi Sébastien.
How are you?
After a tough time, this summer has been quite great now. We have so much debate about what is the future of hospitality. So many things have been said so far. Starting from today, what do you believe is the target for the industry?
So industry is very much alive, very robust, and will grow for the next 50 years. But it's probably a different industry. So we need to change in the customer interaction. We need to change entirely the way we hire people, better pay, lesser constraint, and a greater evolution. So we need to get our eyes wide open. We need also to accept that the international business customers will not come as frequently as they did in the past, probably meaning that if people were to come, they're going to stay longer, which basically leads to discovering even further where they will be staying 4 or 5 days for the same reason, which is trying to preserve the planet and less time spent on plane. Then you have famous staycation, which was not as strong before the pandemic, which is, we've seen it, and we've seen it very quickly. So when you mix everything together, industry is still blessed, will be growing, but we'd better adapt and listen.
So in a nutshell, the only certainty is that the software we had for the last 30 years is not the one that's going to be for the coming 30 years.
Yeah.
What is the question you ask yourself?
Software is different, you're correct. The hardware, which is the brand, the sites, the bricks, the views, are probably 90% the same in terms of recipe and what's going to work. But the software has to be adapted, which is great actually.
The whole point for you is to decide what change you should implement. Now if we speak about how Accor is tackling these changes, what has been your recent decision, how you prepare the company to face this new change?
We've done one big transformation 7 years ago, was to decide no longer to build and own hotels. So we called it Get Light, or Asset Light, which took us 3 years to realize, to unshuffle 1,200 hotels, leased, ownership and so forth. Then we had a second transformation a couple of years later, which was Get Broad, which is really trying to go into the luxury, premium, lifestyle segments and to move away from Europe. Third transformation through COVID, which is Get Fit, so reducing the numbers of people in corporate functions and trying to actually have more people on site. And the last transformation is to say we need to get focused. And get focused means we do reorganize Accor into very different empowered divisions. One, which is, we call it Power Brand, which I actually like, which is all the legacy brands of Accor, so from Ibis, Novotel, Mercure, all the way to Pullman, Swiss Hotel, Movenpick. That's a big beast, that's 90% of the hotel, that's 650,000 rooms. And that will be run probably more processed, more industrialized, meaning we probably have to think further on going deeper on franchise model and trying to create a machine which is resilient, predictable, cash flowing, and the best of the best in terms of density and leadership. That's one division, and Jean-Jacques Morin, my deputy CEO, is taking the helm and the CEO-ship, and also leaner organization, but still geographic-led. And then the other beast, which is smaller but growing faster, we called it Luxury Lifestyle, exactly the opposite in terms of organization. That will be brand-led, so brand CEO as opposed to geographic on the Power Brand. So those, I actually call like Luxury Lifestyle for people to also visualize it, the LVMH of hospitality. So like brand houses, and people fight for defending the brand content, the brand image of Sofitel, which is different for Fairmont. And the first Power Brand, I call it the Zara of hospitality.
Okay.
So still fun, nice collections, but more predictable. So that's implemented a few days ago. It was necessary for Accor to realize that I guess we have within a same umbrella 2 different types of owners and clients, and we need to adapt to them. Anything which is shared platform, procurement remains at the top. IT, digital factory, which is the Accor app. Accor Live Limitless, which is a loyalty system. That should be centralized. The new organization will work. I like it that way, and it was my baby in my mind. Now that I guess it's being deployed and known. I'm depossessed. The people who are actually acting on it love it as much as I did in my brain, so it's perfect.
Yeah, I believe. One of the value creation is the human power force in our industry because we deliver serviction, the production of the service, how we can revamp the relation with our colleagues.
There is industries, which is industrial industries, hospitality, where you cannot work remotely. You have to be physically there at your work, whether it is 7, 8 hours per day. For that reason, it's super pertinent because this is why we have probably 25% of people leaving. Those who left because of this reason. Second reason, we probably did not pay enough a lot of people in difficult jobs. Difficult because many of us can't simply afford it. Better today because we have better pricing and better demand, but we've been going through heavy losses the last 4 years, so let's be very careful. We're never going to be able to meet exactly the demand from these salaries, but we'll go halfway. Third, and that one is probably the one we need to work, which is mobility. Yes, anybody will accept constraint, sacrificing nights, sacrificing weekends, if it's for a short period of time, be it 2 years, 3 years. Make sure that, I guess, after 2 or 3 years, you recognize the quality of that person and you offer he or her a different, better position with lesser constraint. If you can make that promise, people will stick and be with you for 20 years. But that's another mistake we've made. We left people with the same constraint for 10 years in a row without realizing it. So, and probably the last, my belief is you will find in our industry people accepting those sacrifices, but they're only going to be working for me or for Accor 2 or 3 days a week. Call it flexibility. So we can probably do this, and you probably have it. The reason why we're thinking about it is that when you go to Carrefour, Intermarché, Leclerc, all those, you have those students working as cashiers on that Friday, Saturday, but they can only afford to do it twice a week because this is when they're not at university. Same thing will apply to the hotel industry. And that means greater training to greater numbers of people where you know they're only going to be with you for 2 or 3 days.
So it's a very interesting change in the way we used to do things. Actually, soft skills is really what create value for people working in the industry.
The reason why I'm so happy at my job today is people don't realize it, but I keep saying it. We happen to be in 120 different countries. We happen to open 1 hotel per day. We happen to hire 80,000 new people per year. 30,000 who left that we need to replace. 50,000 people that we need to fulfill the 365 new hotels. And guess what? Half, 2/3 of those employees that we hire every year come from underprivileged population. No background, no education, no prior job experience. They could be in Sri Lanka, they could be in Chile, they could be in Nigeria, they could be in Pakistan, they could be, God knows, in Laos. The miracle of Accor, far better than anybody else in the industry, is that capacity to accept, nurture, train, give a hand to underprivileged people in the world.
Maybe a more personal note, you had several lives so far in your career. You've been from real estate, private equity, even football, not really as a player every day, but as president of a club. What hospitality or this experience with Accor has changed you as a person?
What changed about me is my order of priorities and values. Probably for a long time, money was pretty high up in the hierarchy. And I think today, it's pretty low in what I want to do. So what I want to leave behind me is people I've met, people who've been evolving nicely, people who actually had no idea they could replace me and actually they can and do a better job. So my next life, I want to be a professor.
Yeah, really?
I want to be a teacher.
Okay, to give back in terms of knowledge?
Well, it's both. One is give back, if I could. If somebody wants to hire me, that's another question. I need some university or whatever director to actually think of me. But two is there's nothing better than to be with young people when you're actually getting older. So at least that will be my way of, giving back, but they will be giving me that added energy I need. That's my next life.
So a good advice for the coming leaders in the industry, if they have to focus on 3 values, what you would recommend?
I'll give you the orders that I've been giving myself and everybody. The 3 values is, I'll put it in order of decision making, you start with your stomach, what your instinct tells you. Then you reflect with your heart, which is basically generosity. And then the brain comes only third, which is going to give you the timing by which you have to make that decision. If you stick to stomach, heart, brain, I think you should be a happier guy.
Thank you, Sébastien, and wishing you all the best for the new organization.
Thank you, it was lovely. Bye-bye.